In recent days, hundreds of people have arrived in UK waters on small boats, as Home Office officials quietly plan for the possibility that up to twice the 45,000 who crossed last year could come in the year ahead. That thought, deeply unpalatable for many, is fueling growing calls for the UK to withdraw from a human rights treaty that critics believe is hampering efforts to introduce a more assertive immigration policy. Introduced in the years after World War II, the European Convention on Human Rights was drawn up by the initial members of the then fledgling Council on Europe. It offered key protections to prevent those member governments abusing the fundamental rights of their people. But critics say there is no need for the UK to still be tied to such a treaty, that its ludicrous judges in a European court can make rulings against British government policy post-Brexit. They cite the recent decision by the court in Strasbourg to block a Home Office flight bound for Rwanda as part of a deal struck with the African nation to process asylum seekers there.
He's absolutely right. Can I thank him for raising this? It's critically important.
But despite its many critics and indications by Justice Secretary Dominic Raab that he would be willing to consider it, seasoned legal commentator Joshua Rosenberg thinks it's highly unlikely the UK will ditch the treaty.
This doesn't seem remotely likely. It was something that Dominic Raab floated towards the end of last year. It's not been picked up by anybody else. It's certainly not part of the bill that's before Parliament, and that bill itself seems to be going nowhere. It was published last summer, but hasn't yet had its first main debate, its second reading debate, as it's called, in the House of Commons.
The ECHR's critics believe that British Bill of Rights legislation, still working its way through Parliament, could be turbocharged to take over from the European Treaty. There's no doubt it would be complex, though, as the ECHR is woven into the very fabric of UK human rights laws. And there's another major issue at play here. Despite the imperative to deal more robustly with the likes of the small boat crisis, the government is proud of the UK's record on human rights. Pulling out of the treaty would be seen by many as a major blow to Britain's long-held position as a champion of human rights on the international stage. Ditching the ECHR would put the UK in the same club as the only other two European countries not signed up to the treaty, Belarus and Russia. Mark White, GB News.